Okay, so I want to cover Deathstroke 2014 and see that if anybody's interested in me covering this book. And when it comes to Deathstroke 2014, it took place in the middle of New 52 and DC Rebirth. It was that weird period of time where it was still the New 52, but for DC, they were trying to slowly move away from it, but they weren't trying to dive into DC Rebirth just yet. As a matter of fact, when this series ended, it ended right before DC Rebirth had launched. But when it came to this series, it's actually loved by a lot of different people, even though it was a very short series, only like 20 issues long and one annual. But it was Deathstroke being Deathstroke with a very good, interesting storyline. So let's go ahead and dive into this book. And so getting into the opening pages of this book, well, we pick up with Deathstroke, well, being Deathstroke. What I mean by that, you have Deathstroke getting ready for another mission, and he explains how he does get ready for different missions across the world, because with his line of work, being an assassin, being a mercenary, you have to travel a lot. And he says that thanks to his guy Tiggs, which by the way, we're going to learn who Tiggs is down the road. But when it comes to Tiggs, Tiggs work as the middleman. So basically, if anybody wants to hire Deathstroke, they go to Tiggs, and then Tiggs goes to Deathstroke and say, hey man, I have these jobs for you, just pick one and let's get to work. And so it's kind of cool to see how Deathstroke explains to us how he is able to do his different kind of missions, or how he selects his different kinds of missions. But apparently his newest or latest target is going to be go after a guy known as Possum. And Possum is going to be very important for this entire storyline. So please do not forget him, guys. And once we see Deathstroke go over to Russia where his target is going to be at, we see him meeting up with one of his contacts, and that will be Angelica. I thought it was Angela, but it's Angelica, cause C-A at the end. That right there did kind of slightly throw me off. But when it comes to Angelica, she is a close friend of Deathstroke. When I say close friend, I really mean more of they're lovers. But either way, she's a great contact for him to use while being in Russia, because she knows everything that's going on in Russia. And that helps him out a lot, especially when it comes to tracking down Possum. But on top of that, when it comes to Deathstroke, Possum was not his only target. He did have a few others, and you do see him being able to take out those other targets very quickly. But his main goal is still Possum. But when it comes down to finding Possum, well, Angelica was able to find him very quickly. As a matter of fact, when Deathstroke arrives, she already killed off most of his men, leaving him by himself in a chair just waiting for Deathstroke. Except for Deathstroke, he believes that this is going to be an easy mission. But the problem is, they forgot about Possum's, well, ability. See, when it comes to Possum, he has a healing factor, because even though you kill him and his body lays there, he's able to recover and get right back up again. But hence the name Possum, because once you do stab him or gut him, whatever, he'll just lay there like a possum, but he'll back up and come back behind you and then kill you. And so when it came to Possum, it may seem like he was badly injured, but he wasn't. And he was able to break free from his binds. He punches Angelica, so hard that literally he breaks her face, blood flies. He then attacks Deathstroke. But then apparently there's some kind of signal playing nearby that only Deathstroke can hear. And once he hears it, it makes Deathstroke fall to his knees. It makes him go weak. And right now, we have no idea why. But then you have Deathstroke give out a bunch of different letters and numbers, some kind of code. And for Possum, this is what he wanted from Deathstroke. But while getting those codes, you then have Possum begin to just stab and beat up Deathstroke to see how strong is his healing factor. And this is where things get even crazier, because once you have Deathstroke being able to catch himself, stab Possum, which of course means that Possum is currently dead, but of course we already know that he'll come right back, Deathstroke has no choice but to get out of there, because he realized this was a trap. And out of nowhere, you have a bunch of helicopters guys about to move in and try their best to capture Deathstroke. And this gives us a lot of pages where it's just Deathstroke, well, being Deathstroke. But at the same time, he is bleeding out all over the place, because Possum did really try his best to see how strong is the healing factor of Slade Wilson. Either way, Deathstroke is able to get away, but now he has to see an old friend and see that friend could help him heal properly, but also give him somewhere to lay low for the time being. And we do see Deathstroke being able to find somewhere to stay. And when he does, he finds his old friend I Ching. Now, I Ching is an old character. Matter of fact, I want to say he first appeared back in Wonder Woman comics a long time before Grant Morrison had used him in his run on Batman. But when it comes to I Ching, he is a monk, but he's a great martial artist. He had trained a lot of different characters. And matter of fact, he did somewhat help train Deathstroke a tad bit as well. But when it comes to I Ching, he's here to help out Deathstroke. And he tells Deathstroke, just go ahead, sit down, and let me begin to help you heal. Now, when Deathstroke wakes up, he realized that something is different about him, that something is new about him. He's wondering, what in the world did I Ching do to me while I was knocked out trying to heal? But apparently when it came to I Ching, he says, unfortunately, Deathstroke, your wounds were so bad that I had to bring you back from the dead. And so we're left to wonder, how serious was the injuries that Deathstroke had, that his healing factor could not just heal him up and make sure he was okay again. I Ching had to step in and help out. But either way, you have I Ching say, I have to go now, because this place is not safe for me nor you. But at the same time, you also owe me one now. Oh, by the way, I hope you like the new body. And that is when us and Deathstroke as well realize that he's no longer an older man. He's now a younger man, probably in his 20s or early 30s. But Deathstroke is now young. But as we jump into the second chapter of this story, well, we pick up with Deathstroke realizing that, yes, he is young, but he also has both of his eyes again, something he lost many years ago. And so with that being said, he also realized that he's not alone in this building. Matter of fact, there's some random character sitting on a throne, but when Deathstroke attacks the throne, we come to find out the guy sitting there is not really there at all. It was a hologram. Except that is the moment where after he tried to kill the person he believed was sitting on the throne in his old base, well, he is confronted by another character. And this character is Red Fury. Honestly, looks very cool. The name, could be better. But when it comes to Red Fury, he says, I was the one that hired you. Now, remember, at the very beginning of this book, we learned that apparently a guy known as Trig is the middleman when it comes to Deathstroke getting contracts from different people. And the question is right now, did Red Fury meet with Trig and then meet with Deathstroke? Or did he skip Trig and went straight to Deathstroke? And apparently when it comes to Red Fury, he said, I hired you, but you forgot everything we talked about. And that is something very interesting. Now, with that being said, you also have Red Fury saying, you have no choice but to work with me. And the reason why, because all your safe houses have been compromised. All your bank accounts have been completely frozen or drained. And so you are technically broke and nowhere to go. Now, I'm going to tell you one more thing. You have to help me kill the guy that you saw that was sitting on that throne, that hologram. And his name is Odesus. And we'll learn more about Odesus as we go through this entire story, because Odesus has very close ties to Deathstroke. Either way, when it comes to Red Fury, he said, we did meet up. I did tell you everything you needed to know, but then I made you forget. Now, what I'm going to give you is this serum. It's going to help you remember everything we talked about. And the reason why you agree to doing this is because you realize that at first you cannot trust me. And so this was the best way to see if you could trust me, if I would actually help you. And what I'm trying to do is actually a good thing. But he then says, I have to go now. Here's the serum, but you have company. And so you have Deathstroke change his clothes. And when he does, this is Deathstroke just getting ready to go on a rampage. Because as soon as those guys appear, trying to attack his base, but to hopefully finish him off as well, Deathstroke gets to work. He kills people off left and right, cutting off heads, arms, using guns. When I tell you guys, this man was working. He said, I am going to enjoy this so much. But once he's able to finish most of them off and leave one guy alive, he begins to question that guy, to ask him, why are you after me? Now, this guy does not give Deathstroke that much information. The only thing he says is that when it comes to Odesus, he is the ruler of this realm, but at the same time, he is a great leader. I will listen to all his orders. But before you have Deathstroke kill off this guy, you do have the guy tell Deathstroke one last thing, that Deathstroke is very important when it comes to Odesus' master plan, because Deathstroke will be able to make Odesus a god. But we didn't pick up with a character known as Bronze Tiger. When it comes to Bronze Tiger, this is Trig. This is the guy that was a close friend of Deathstroke, the middleman, when it came to Deathstroke getting different kinds of missions from different people who wanted to hire him. But apparently, Bronze Tiger is working for Odesus, are trying to bring Odesus back. And matter of fact, we see Bronze Tiger meeting up with Lady Shiva, because at this point in time, Lady Shiva was the one in charge of the League of Assassins. Ra's al Ghul is missing, and so it seems like Odesus might take over the League of Assassins, but once he comes back. Now, once you have Deathstroke actually take the serum that was given to him by Red Fury, this is where he remembers everything that he had forgotten when it came to Red Fury meeting him a while back before accepting this mission. And so as soon as Deathstroke takes the serum, he remembers that apparently he was going on one heck of a rampage on one particular mission to save the life of someone he cares so much for, and that would be Jericho, his son. And so as we get into the third chapter of this storyline, we pick up with Deathstroke trying to get Jericho away from the people who had apparently caught him. Now, with that being said, this leads into us seeing a new power from Jericho. What I mean by that, usually when it comes to Jericho, he had one particular power where he was able to possess your body. His spirit would leave his body and then go into your body as a way to control it. But apparently here, when it comes to Jericho, well, he now has a new ability where he releases a huge amount of energy. And when he does, he is able to make people's bodies explode. Or really, they get cut up and they're dead. And the question is, where did this new power come from? And for Deathstroke, it's a very cool thing to see. But at the same time, it's Deathstroke saying he has to take care of one more person. And that will be Odesus. Now, when it came to Deathstroke, he didn't come here to kill off Odesus. He came here to save his son Jericho. But now he sees Odesus just waking up from a machine. And when it comes to Odesus, well, we kind of find out this is the father of Deathstroke, the grandfather of Jericho. This is very huge. But apparently Odesus was dead. But somehow Joseph Life Force was able to bring Odesus back to life. And with him being brought back to life, he has plans for Jericho, Deathstroke, and of course the entire world. Except when it comes to Deathstroke, he said, no, there's no way I'm going to let you live on Earth again. I'm going to send you back to hell. And he shoots Odysseus 2 times, maybe 3 times, and kills Odysseus once again. Now, after killing his father once again, you then have Jericho say, "No, father, I will not come with you. Thanks for saving me, but I have my own plans." And then Jericho disappears, and that ends our flashback, and Deathstroke remembers everything that happened to him when he came to Jericho and Odysseus. But back in the present day, you have Deathstroke heading towards a cabin as a way to just hide out and wonder what is his next moves. Except while doing that, well, he is confronted by Bronze Tiger. And let's not forget that Bronze Tiger is supposed to be the middleman that helps Deathstroke get different kind of contracts. But at the same time, they're best friends. Except right now for Bronze Tiger, they're not best friends, because let's not forget, Bronze Tiger works with Lady Shiva as a way to bring back their master, Odesus. But here's the thing, when it comes to Bronze Tiger, when he looks at Deathstroke, he does not recognize Deathstroke, because Deathstroke does not look like Deathstroke. He's a young man again. And so the Bronze Tiger, he believes that this is just another child of Deathstroke that's out there in the world and somehow was caught in the crosshairs of Bronze Tiger. Either way, you do have our 2 characters fight against each other. Deathstroke is able to defeat Bronze Tiger, but right before you have Deathstroke try to kill off his old friend Bronze Tiger, well, you did have Red Fury appear again and says, "No, do not kill him because we need him." And so once you have Red Fury and Slade Wilson go to a cabin where they're able to talk to one another, this leads into the 2 characters discussing the origin of Odysseus. Now, we don't get the complete origin here. All we know is that he is the father of Slade Wilson, but apparently he was working for the US government. He had disappeared, but 10 years after being gone, you then have the American government declare him as dead. But he wasn't. Now for Slade Wilson, he believes he is dead now, because when he came to that flashback, we saw Slade shoot his father 3 or 4 times. Odysseus should be dead. When it comes to Red Fury, he says no. Your father is not dead. Matter of fact, he's very well alive. And the reason why, because when it comes to Odysseus, he has the same mutation as you and your children. Matter of fact, he is responsible for y'all mutation. You get it from him. Your healing factor and the different abilities you have all came from him, thanks to him kind of doing his own mutations on himself. Either way, when it comes to Odysseus, he's not dead. And matter of fact, he's alive and well thanks to his healing factor, but at the same time, he still needs Jericho, because Jericho's powers can make him a god. And that is what he wants to do, to become a god. And so if you want to save your son, you're gonna have to kill your father again, but for sure this time. But at the same time, we have to find Jericho. And so you have Red Fury tell Deathstroke to find Jericho, we have to go to Gotham City. See, with him going to Gotham, he's going to have a tad bit of a problem. And the reason why, because there's somebody in Gotham City that wants to see him dead, to get revenge against him. And that would be Harley Quinn, because we kind of find out that before this book, Deathstroke had worked with Harley Quinn and the Suicide Squad, except Deathstroke had portrayed her and them as well. And so you have Amanda Waller tell Harley Quinn that, hey, Deathstroke is coming to Gotham. And for Harley Quinn, this is great, because now her end goal is to make sure that she does get her revenge and kill him off. And so as we jump into the 4th chapter of the book, we really do focus more on Deathstroke, Red Fury, and Bronze Tiger. And this is going to be very important. And the reason why, because you have Red Fury tell us a tad bit more about his master plan, where we find out that when it comes to Bronze Tiger, he is a loyal soldier for both Odysseus and the League of Assassins. And so when it came to Deathstroke, unfortunately, Deathstroke had to be killed off because Bronze Tiger is so loyal to the other 2. But when it came to Red Fury, he was hoping that Deathstroke would be able to kill off Odysseus, because if he did that, we come to find out Red Fury had planted some kind of Trojan horse in the mind of Bronze Tiger to use Bronze Tiger to take down the League of Assassins. Unfortunately, Odesus did not die, and so plans have to change. And so this is Red Fury saying, what I'm going to do instead is plant false memories in his mind and then send him back to Odesus and the League of Assassins. Because if I do that, he'll tell them that you are dead, and they'll believe him because he's so trustworthy. And so if you're dead, it gives us more room to run. Now, when it comes to basically Red Fury trying to insert those memories, well, Bronze Tiger is fighting back. And with him fighting back, he does tell Slade Wilson, you have to kill her right now. Now you're wondering, who could her be? Because right now we have 3 men, except you have Deathstroke find out that Red Fury is not a guy, and matter of fact, she is a woman. And the question is now, what is the actual origin of Red Fury, and what is her end goal when it comes to stopping Odesus and also the League of Assassins? And this is where the story gets a tad bit wild. Not like, oh my god, it's crazy, it's just a bunch of new characters are introduced in this one certain section where we kind of find out Red Fury's real name is Kendall James, and apparently she works for the Dead Bastards. Yes, that is her group name, the Dead Bastards. Now, when it comes to the Dead Bastards, they work for the CIA and Interpol, and they go after people that the CIA nor Interpol is able to go after to make sure those targets are taken care of. Now, when it comes to Odesus, both groups want him dead. When it comes to Slade Wilson, they both want him dead as well. But the question is right now, once they're able to kill off Odesus, will she come after Slade then? But somebody else walks into the room and says, listen, she'll do anything for the Dead Bastards. That even means killing you if it comes down to it. And we get introduced to Victor Ruse. And when it comes to Victor Ruse, well, he's a member of the Dead Bastards, and hence the name Dead Bastards. They are a group of people who are supposedly dead, but in reality, they're not dead. They're alive. They work for the CIA and Interpol to take down bad guys that they cannot go after. You send in the Dead Bastards because the world believes that they are dead. Now, when it comes to Victor Ruse and Kendall, they are not alone. So is I Ching, but also so is Angelica. Yes, she's alive again. We saw her die earlier, but she's also alive as well. She's part of the Dead Bastards. They work in the shadows. But when it comes to Victor, he tells Deathstroke, we have to kill off your father. And the reason why? Because both the CIA and Interpol wants him dead for one particular good reason. Because this new form, this new being that your father has become is getting too powerful. And he'll be able to topple nations across the world. I said topple, didn't I? Messed that word up. He'll be able to take down nations across the world. And that would be a problem. And so that is why he has to die, because he now is in control of the League of Assassins. He's able to recruit people by mass numbers. It's getting crazy. And so you have to take down your own father. And so you have Deathstroke agree to join the team. In reality, he has no choice but to join the team because, like we saw earlier, all his hideouts are gone. All his money is also gone. Unfortunately, he has no choice but to stay here with them and work with them. And so he says, I will help you, but I have to make sure my son is safe first. And so I'm going to Gotham to try to make sure to get him somewhere safe before I go after Odesus and his fellow warriors and take them down. And so this is him, Deathstroke, joining the Dead Bastards. And we kind of find out that after they made that plan, they send Bronze Tiger back to Odesus and the League of Assassins. Because remember, They said they're going to use Bronze Tiger to go back to Odesus and the League of Assassins to say that, hey, I killed off Deathstroke, mission accomplished. And they'll believe him because he is such a trustworthy soldier. And so, matter of fact, when Bronze Tiger appears and he does go to Odesus and Lady Shiva, he says, my mission was accomplished. I was able to kill off Deathstroke. Now, at first, Odesus did not believe him. By giving Bronze Tiger a test in his mind, he finds out that what Bronze Tiger told him is true. That basically, when it comes to Deathstroke, he's quote unquote dead. But after hearing that, you then have both Odesus and Lady Shiva say, it's time for us to go to Gotham to get Jericho back. We then jump over to Gotham City to pick up with Jericho. And when we do, we see Jericho right now going to a particular area to meet a certain person. Now, at first, when he does arrive, he runs into a bunch of thugs. Those thugs get taken out very quickly by somebody else, not Jericho. And that would be Rose Wilson. This is the person that he came to Gotham to meet. And let's not forget, Rose is the daughter of Deathstroke, but she has the code name known as Ravager. Either way, once she does appear and she kills off the thugs that were going to hurt her brother, she then tells her brother that she's very happy that he came to her for help. But on top of that, she knows somebody who could help him. And so she says, follow me, little brother. But then you have Deathstroke also arrive in Gotham, he arrives in a different area. And of course, he does link up with Harley Quinn. Now, when he does, he's hoping that Harley Quinn will help him out, even though he knows that she's still angry at him for what he had done to her and also the Suicide Squad. But at the same time, he's kind of like, listen, let's bygone be bygones. And let me explain why I had to portray you guys as a way to save you guys. But either way, it does seem like at first, Harley Quinn is going to help out Deathstroke to find his son, but to also find his daughter, because he got word that his daughter is also here in Gotham City. But at the same time, he also knows that she, Rose, is with his son Jericho. And so you have Harley say, I think I know where to go. And so she does take Deathstroke to this abandoned house. Now, when they walk in, they do find a bunch of dead bodies, but they also find his sword. And here's the thing, it is a sword that he has not seen in a good while. And so he's wondering how in the world his sword got here, because Rose would not have his sword either, which means that Harley Quinn got the sword. And we're going to find out this was a trap, because she used the dead bodies in this place right here as a way to frame Deathstroke, to make it seem like he came here and killed off a bunch of random people and left their dead bodies here. And when I say frame him, I mean more of, because when Batman appears, Batman believes that Deathstroke killed off all these people. And so the next chapter is Batman versus Deathstroke. And so when we jump into the 5th chapter, we pick up with Batman fighting against Deathstroke. And this is something we have seen so many times over the years. I mean, literally so many times over the years, but we still love it because it's a great thing to see these two guys go toe to toe with one another. But you have Deathstroke say, you know what, with me being younger, I should be able to go toe to toe with Batman. And honestly, he's right. But at the same time, he can't, because he also has both eyes back. And with him having both eyes back, it's throwing him off balance, because for many years, all he had was that one eye. That is it. But now you're saying he has both of his eyes back. It's kind of throwing his vision off. It's making him unbalanced. And so their fight goes on for many pages. Now, the fight does end with the entire building falling on top of them, which means that it is a draw, because you do have Deathstroke get out first. He grabs Harley and says, Harley, you are going to tell me where I can find my family now. And she says, okay, fine. I'll help you, because I have heard some things about this mysterious woman of yours, Rose Wilson, who has been going around working for the Penguin and killing off men for him as a way to help her get back on her feet. And so you have Harley and Deathstroke leave to hopefully find Ravager. But then you have Batman get out and wonder what in the world is going on with Deathstroke and why is he looking for his son. But getting back over to Jericho and also Rose Wilson, you have Jericho and Rose waiting for somebody who can apparently help Jericho out to control his new powers, but to also understand his new powers even better. Now for Rose, she believes the person she had met does know a lot. But as soon as she says that, we come to find out the person that she's talking about is Possum. And let's not forget, Possum is a bad guy who we can say right now is working for Odesus. And so when it comes to Possum, we already know he's a bad guy, but Rose does not. And when it comes to Jericho, he is able to read Possum's life energy, his aura. And he says he is not a good person at all. And matter of fact, Jericho is correct. He is not. He is a bad guy that was sent by Odesus to capture Jericho. And when he tries, Jericho does try to fight back, but unfortunately, Jericho loses. You have Rose step in, and right after Rose does cut off the head of Jericho, you then have Odesus, Bronze Tiger, and also Lady Shiva appear. And when they do appear, they said, "Hand over Jericho. By the way, I am your grandfather." Now, when Deathstroke and Harley Quinn arrive where Rose had killed off Possum, they're too late. That Odesus was able to grab both Jericho and Rose and disappear, but then left Possum behind. Now, let's not forget, even though Possum was cut up by Ravager, Rose, when it comes to Possum, he has a crazy healing factor where his body is able to come back together. That's why he's called Possum. He may appear dead, but in reality, he's not. Either way, when Deathstroke and Harley arrive, well, you have Possum show off the different kinds of things he can do with his ability. But when it comes to Deathstroke, he's able to shut down Possum and try to figure out where in the world did Odesus take his children, Rose and Jericho. But getting back over to Odesus, but also Lady Shiva, Bronze Tiger, Rose, and Jericho, this is where we learn a little bit more of what Odesus is trying to do with the powers of Jericho. Because let's not forget, when it comes to Jericho, he has the ability to control people, to possess their bodies. And that is what Odesus wants, but to use that power to a whole new kind of level, where he is able to control people at a huge amount of numbers, or mass numbers. Had a hard time saying that, sorry. What I'm trying to say is that when it comes to Odesus, he wants to take the powers of Jericho and be able to possess a huge amount of people. That sounds so much better. Sorry, y'all. But with that being said, we are now seeing the beginning process of Odesus trying to absorb the life energy of Jericho so that he'll be able to begin the process of controlling a huge amount of people. And this leads us into the closing parts of this book, because while you have Odesus trying to absorb his grandson Jericho, well, Deathstroke does appear with Harley Quinn, and this begins the process of seeing our two heroes trying to save Jericho and Rose from Odesus, but also Lady Shiva and Bronze Tiger. And as the fight goes on, really, everything works out for almost everybody. When it comes to Odesus, he is killed off at the end of this section. When it comes to Bronze Tiger, he was stopped by the dead bastard because they still have a way to control his mind. When it comes to Lady Shiva, she tried to kill off Rose, but she was shot in the back by Harley Quinn, so she was also taken down. And so in reality, everything seems like a win-win for everybody, except it does lead into the moment where you do have Jericho freak out because a lot of people were dying in this one battle. And because of that, he releases a huge amount of energy. And when he does that, he disappears and everybody blacks out. And this leads into an ending that I truly don't like, because When we jump into the ending, well, it's just Deathstroke waking up after being blacked out by the powers of Jericho. And when he does wake up, he's somewhere else. He is confronted by Red Fury. He gets up, he changes his clothes, and he says, "It's time for me to hunt down the people who are trying to come after me." And you're kind of like, well, wait. What about the other people? What kind of ending is this? It's one weird, strange cliffhanger because there's so many questions left to wonder about. And so with that being said, unfortunately, this is the end for today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.